following are clips from a recent discussion that took place with influential street epistemology content creators and the atheist philosopher who started the SE movement in 2013, Peter Boghossian. His book, A Manual for Creating Atheists, is where the term street epistemology originates. Boghossian explains why he stepped away from street epistemology. He did not want what he was doing at his former school to interfere with SE. If you're unfamiliar with the controversies surrounding Boghossian, see links in the notes of this video.
So, why did you step away?
Because in 2012, I started seeing a problem. I mean, I can give you the timeline, but I stepped away because I needed to immerse myself in what I considered to be a mimetic social contagion, which is critical social justice or wokeism. And I didn't want my attacks on that to be coupled with I just wanted to separate myself. So I didn't want to say, oh, there's the anti-woke guy, the SE guy. So that's one reason. The other reason is what I said to these guys, like all the ethical violations that I brought up, and that would also contaminate it as well.
So you think you're saying that your involvement with anti-wokeism and your involvement with the university and the things that have befell you,
ethical
charges would have a
detrimental. Yes.
Okay. How confident are you in that belief that your involvement would be more detrimental than it would be positive? Why is that? On a scale of 1 to 10.
Because I saw in other aspects, in other elements of my professional life, how it came for me, how it dogged me, how it haunted me. And, James Randi from the Skeptic Foundation was gay. And he never told anybody he was gay because at the time there was like a huge taboo about homosexuality. And he never wanted that to damage the skeptical movement. I never wanted to damage the SE movement with my other activities.
Many who practice street epistemology today still recommend reading this book. In it, Boghossian suggests faith is a delusion. Now, some SE practitioners, however, do not like this book. The book remains on a list linked through the Street Epistemology website. You can go to streetepistemology.com, scroll down to the books section, and that will take you to a list of books where you can find the How to Have Impossible Conversations book, as well as a manual for creating atheists.
And honestly, we also, as an SE community, are a little concerned that people think SE is about anti-religion. When it started out that way, we don't, and I actually agree with the consensus, I think, that we don't want it to be a community of atheists.
I've been telling Anthony that.
Everyone.
I've been telling Anthony that for years.
It needs to be for everyone because it is exactly the way I want to be questioned when I have a belief claim. And I want Christians to be able to use this dialectic with me to better understand me, and so I can also doubt, because I value doubting. So I definitely think that divorcing SE from any one particular ideology or anti-ideology is the best way to go.
If Boghossian and street epistemology practitioners want to distance themselves from atheism, as you heard them say in the video, then they ought to at least discontinue listing and recommending this book. In the book, for example, faith is considered to be some kind of God virus. Quote, biological virus strategies bear a remarkable resemblance to methods of religious propagation. Religious conversion seems to affect personality. In the viral paradigm, the God virus infects and takes over the critical thinking capacity of the individual with respect to his or her own religion, much as rabies affects specific parts of the central nervous system. End quote. That comes from Darrell Ray, the God virus, quoted in A Manual for Creating Atheists, 2013. And that can be found on page 216. Now, what's interesting in the quote you just heard, it comes from a man named Dr. Darrell Ray. Dr. Ray is the founder and president of the board of directors of an organization called Recovering from Religion. He has been a psychologist for over 30 years and is the author of 4 books, 2 on organizational teamwork, as well as The God Virus, How Religion Infects Our Lives and Culture, and Sex and God, How Religion Distorts Sexuality. The executive director of Street Epistemology, Anthony Magnabosco, is an ongoing Recovering from Religion volunteer. And Recovering from Religion refers people to Street Epistemology videos and resources.
So how did you guys discover Street Epistemology?
So I was kind of a casual fan. I found it after I left the Mormon church. I found a couple videos of, I think it was Anthony Magnabosco, I think that's his name, talking to some Mormon missionaries. And there was like a brief period where I got into that. But then it had been a while since I watched those videos. And then when I began talking to Mackenzie, she told me about a research project. She told me it was about figuring out how do people know what they know. And so I said, oh, there's this really cool thing called street epistemology that you would be really into. And she kind of like blew me off the first like 4 or 5 times I told her about it. And then after she deconverted from Christianity, I think a representative from Recovery from Religion suggested your videos to her. I think a representative from Recovery from Religion suggested your videos to her, and then she like called me and apologized for.
Why'd you never tell me about this?
Yeah. I just really, that's why I do it. I just want to help people really examine their own beliefs and help people talk about them and discuss them with other people who might not share their beliefs. And I just really like that. And I really appreciate you reaching out. What if I told you that I believe Buddy Holly, he was a musician, he died, he rose, he's a god now. I have faith that Buddy Holly is a god. What does that say about Buddy Holly being a god?
Well, everybody knows that Buddy Holly was a human being who did rock and roll music and passed away, and so, but he didn't rise. Jesus rose. That's what she'd say.
Well, so you're telling me with my belief that where Buddy Holly didn't rise, this is my belief and I do believe it, that's not true, but your belief where Jesus rose, that is true.
It reduces belief to opinion.
How could we, that's a good point. It seems like that we have two beliefs that are at odds at each other. How could we find out what is objectively true, universally true? If Jesus rose and is a god, I'd like to believe it. If Buddy Holly rose and he's a god, I'd like to believe that. You're exposing them to this conundrum. You're not telling them the conundrum. That won't work. Right. You're having them think about it. And you're having them discover critical thought on their own. You're not telling them how to do critical thought. They're doing it. You've just allowed them to make a big step because they're trying to hold two diametrically opposed views in their hand at the same time, and they can't. They think this one's true and this one's not true, but they can't tell you why. And they can't think of a good reason why that would be. They're on the road. And that's street epistemology.
Street Epistemology International just partnered with the CIRCE organization. The president of CIRCE, Dr. Andy Norman, thinks faith is a mind parasite. Not a metaphor for a bad idea, but a real mind parasite. You can see in pages 7 and 8, as well as chapter 9, Reason Unhinged, in his book there. This was published in 2021, and I do not know exactly what SEI endorses in CIRCE or this book. You can visit the streetepistemology.com website to see the official announcement of Street Epistemology International's partnership with CIRCE. You can go to streetepistemology.com, find SEI on the top menu, scroll down, and it will take you to the official announcement made this past June. I did a review about Andy Norman's book, Mental Immunity, and I will link that in the notes below this video. SE practitioners talk about distancing themselves from atheism and skepticism, but is that really the message being sent by SE? SE practitioners have attempted to introduce a variety of different topics into SE discussions in the last few years. Some practitioners will say that they do not use SE to convince theists they are wrong about believing in God, but others continue to use it for just that purpose. But the fact remains, without atheists and skeptics, and ultimately without the existence of the Christian faith, street epistemology as a movement would likely not exist. I just did a video on this book, David McRaney's How Minds Change. It was just released this summer. It features an entire chapter on street epistemology, and McRaney entices his readers with this claim, quote, "You are about to gain a superpower, a step-by-step script of how to change people's minds on any topic, without coercion, by simply asking the right kinds of questions in the right order." So what do these influential street epistemology content creators think is the purpose of street epistemology? Is SE just about exploring epistemological reasons for our beliefs? Or is SE really about changing people's minds? This is Nathan Ferguson of the Abstract Activist YouTube channel and Mark Solomon of the Being Reasonable podcast. Here's what they have to say.
I'm already a believer in it. But even watching it happen, I'm not sure exactly what's going on. So could you tell me, what is SE? What is street epistemology?
Street epistemology is a way of asking questions to determine how a person is weighing confidence in their belief being true.
Okay, so you're helping a person understand how much confidence they have in their own beliefs.
It's helping me to understand in a way that affords someone else an opportunity to critically evaluate their reasons in a quantitative and qualitative way that they're not used to doing.
I see the SE as the next step after new atheism.
Is the purpose of SE to eliminate beliefs?
You guys want to take that?
Well, incorrect beliefs.
Yeah.
It's sort of become the new atheism.